Hi guys, and welcome to week one of MGF 3684 Business Strategy. My name is Andy Kavanagh. I'll be taking you for not only for this week but also the first 6 weeks of the semester's online lecture content, and we'll be going through at least a few different sort of topics each week. And we'll be running through those. The first, as you can see here, is our introduction. So today we're going to go through sort of what you can expect from the unit, as well as some introductory concepts. Alright, the Chief Examiner for this particular semester of Business Strategy is Dr. Sarah Lindsay. She'll be co-teaching the unit with myself as in my role as the unit coordinator. I'll be taking the workshop on Monday, while Sarah will be taking the remaining workshops on the Friday. If you would like to contact us, here are our details. We're both located in Building N here at the Caulfield campus on different floors, as you can see there. Our phone numbers are also provided, as well as our email addresses. As I've mentioned already, we are the workshop facilitators, with me being on the Monday and Sarah on the Friday. If you have any questions about the unit, the workshop facilitator, whether it's myself or Sarah, is the first person to go to. If they are unable to answer your question satisfactorily, you can then go to the lecture from that week. So for example, if it's a question about week 2, then you might ask me if you're in Sarah's class, although I'm sure she would have all the necessary answers that you might need. And then you can then go to the Chief Examiner as a final response. Having said that, given that we are the two workshop facilitators, I'm sure we will be able to answer any questions you have satisfactorily in class. That's certainly the best time to ask. If not in class, email is probably the best option. Alright, just a little bit about me before we move on to the unit in general. Just to highlight that I was once certainly where most of you guys are sitting right now. I completed my double degree here in Bachelor of Business Management and Marketing at Monash, followed that up by an honours degree in management before completing my PhD within the more specific scope of international business, again within the broader management department. So I look at things like international business strategy, particularly within international business, but strategy in general. And as you will find out over the following 6 weeks, I love cars. You're going to be sick to death of cars by the time I'm finished these remaining 6 weeks. I am a massive, tragic St Kilda football fan. I love Lenny Hayes and anything else to do with St Kilda. And I also am a member in the greatest band that you have never heard. They are called Vesperlin, and you will also be hearing a little bit about them throughout the remaining 6 weeks. Alright, let's focus on the unit itself. There are 4 outcomes that we're hoping that you will be able to achieve by the end of semester 1 this year. First of all, we're going to be looking for you to be able to explain and apply the core concepts of business strategy, obviously understanding what is business strategy itself and those key issues and concepts that relate to it. We're going to hope that you'll be able to analyse and evaluate the influence of key contextual variables on a business's strategy. What are those things that will affect a business and its ability to develop and implement its strategy. We're going to look at, you guys will hopefully look at rather, applying and critically appraising business strategy formulation, implementation, and importantly, evaluation concepts, working out has it actually worked or not, and also the relationships between them. One thing you'll find out very quickly in this unit is that business strategy is a process, with each of the different parts within that process being very much connected to one another. It's very difficult to simply focus on a single part of business strategy. You'll quickly realize that each of the different topics that we look at from week to week will relate clearly to one another. Finally, we'll be hoping that you can illustrate and judge future directions and trends for forming, implementing, and evaluating business strategy. So where are we heading within this broad area that we call business strategy? You might be sitting there at the moment wondering, how is this all relevant to me? Well, we have a few reasons why that is the case. First of all, if you drive a car, or if you own an iPhone, an iPad, or a MacBook, or to be honest, any form of electronic device, and certainly if you enjoy any Slurpees or other products from 7-Eleven, then business strategy is going to be relevant to you. You will find out throughout the next 12 weeks that these topics and companies and cases here, not to mention plenty of others, are directly relevant to you, and then if any of those matter to you or you're familiar with any of them, then you'll find business strategy directly relevant to you and your interests. In this unit, we're going to look at those types of companies as well as others to investigate why they've succeeded and why they haven't. What parts of their strategy have enabled them to be successful, Apple in particular, for example. This is going to be useful for when you get a job after you complete your studies here at Monash. You will be a valuable, knowledgeable asset for your company once you have a better understanding of a business's strategy. The cases that we'll be looking at are also hopefully very interesting companies that you will very much encounter in your everyday life, whether you go down to the shops, whether you buy something from a firm, whether you interact with them in any way. These are the types of companies that we will be looking at. Importantly, the unit does also bring together many of the other previous management units that you'll have completed at various stages. So you'll often find that some of these key units have appeared somewhere before, but we will hopefully bring them together in a new and interesting way so you can see how, as I mentioned before, the various parts of a business's strategy can be brought together. In terms of how the unit is structured, we do have weekly online lecture content that will be available for you guys to look at on the Moodle site. Each week this will be posted onto the Moodle site at the very latest by the close of business on the Friday. So for week 2's content, it will be available to you by the Friday of week 1. It is super important that you guys are familiar with this and that you're able to access that. Given that the workshop activities that we'll be doing every week will literally relate and be based on much of the content that is available to you on the Moodle site. So you will need to be familiar with that prior to your weekly workshops. A lot of the important reading materials, the reading list and the weekly readings will be available on the Moodle site as well. Attending workshops is essential. You need to be there, given that we will literally prepare you for your assessments in the workshop activities. So if you're not attending those, even from week 1, there is a workshop in week 1 that you need to be going to, then you will be only hindering your own ability to successfully complete those assessment tasks. And as I say here, there will also be clear and direct hints as well as helpful tips provided in those workshops to help you complete those activities, those assessment activities rather. In terms of the workshops themselves, it might not quite be like your classes here with our friend Channing Tatum, but they do begin in week 1 and hopefully you will find them very much interesting ways of learning about business strategy. In terms of at least our first week, we will be getting to know one another. I will be getting to know those of you who are in my class, and we're also going to go over a few of the key concepts that are certainly going to be relevant to your first assessment task, which is a presentation. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but that just again highlights the importance of attending each of your weekly workshops in order to be well prepared to complete your assessment tasks. The reading list. First things first, there is no required text for this unit. Now, hopefully most of you are sitting there thinking, this is fantastic, I can save myself a heap of money, because we recognize textbooks are hideously expensive. But there is also a reason why we've done this, not just to save you guys money, but by incorporating parts of different textbooks and various readings for each week from various sources. Hopefully it will bring together the best parts from this wider range of sources and give you a better and more well-rounded understanding of the weekly content and topics. All of the readings for the unit are available for free online on the library's reading list for this unit. If you go under the weekly tabs on the business strategy site, you will also find that the weekly readings are uploaded under each week's tab, as well as in a single reading list file at the top of the business strategy Moodle page. They have been, as I say, selected specifically for each week's topic and therefore can be used as source material and references for your assessment task. We have literally chose them so that you guys can use them in those assignments. The better you understand the readings and materials that we provide for you, the more you will get out of the workshops, and certainly the easier and hopefully the higher chance you will have of doing well in your assignments. Couple of useful websites, we won't go into these. Hopefully you will find them more useful than our friend Grumpy Cat I promise they're not awful. But do have a look at these, in particular that final one that walks you through the APA style of referencing. That is the particular referencing format we follow in this unit, and you will need to know how to follow it and employ it in your assignment. So if you're not familiar with the APA format, do go and have a look there. Assessment tasks, there are only 2 assessments for this unit. As I've already mentioned, there is no exam. No exam, which is, we think, a great thing, not just because no one likes exams, but because we will hopefully provide you with better ways of learning the unit's content. Firstly, we do have a presentation. It is worth 50%, so it is a big one. It's due the 24th of April on the Sunday, just before midnight on that day. There are 2 parts. We're going to go into this in more detail in your weekly workshops, certainly in week 1, so make sure you do attend that. But the key thing to understand at this stage is there is 40% of that 50% is dedicated to the group presentation, so it will be in groups. But there is also a secondary part worth 10% of that 50 out of that 50, and it is an individual peer and self-assessment task where you'll be asked to assess your own performance as well as those of your group members in the particular presentation. Hopefully that gives you a good opportunity to assess not only how the others contributed or how little they contributed, but your own performance as well. The presentation will be a recorded video group presentation, so you won't be doing it in class, you'll be recording yourselves out of class. There is a particular case study that has been uploaded already to the Moodle site, so you can have a look at that right now. There are 4 questions that we ask you to answer as part of this presentation, and you will note that each of those 4 questions are linked quite clearly to the early week's topics. Again, reinforcing why it's important to go to your workshops and cover the materials in the first few weeks. Second piece of assessment is a strategic report, again worth 50%, and due this time on Friday, 10th of June 2016, before midnight again. It's a 3,000 word report, and we are asking you guys to choose any company you like and prepare a strategic business plan report that will address 3 questions that we'll go over in more detail in your workshops.